But it's been enhanced this time with photo-etched parts and then also Cartograf decals from Italy. Hello, this is BJ from Hearns Hobbies, and today I'm going to be looking at this really nice big kit here. So this is the Tamiya 934 Porsche. So it's based on the 930. It raced in the World Championships, I think, what was it? Is it Group 4? Something like that. I'm sure one of you will be able to fill me in on that with the history. But it's the 1976-77 Jagermeister liveried car. So it had a 3-litre flat 6 rear engine turbocharged, quite powerful at the time. And this is a really beautiful kit. It's not the newest kit, it's actually a rear release. So it would have first come out perhaps in the early 80s, could have been the late 70s. But it's been enhanced this time with photo-etched parts and then also Cartograf decals from Italy. So Tamiya were renowned for having quite thick decals, but with Cartograf, very fine screen printing, very thin decals. So that's a definite plus. So if you missed out on building one of these when they first came out, here's your chance, because with the reissues, they don't happen all the time. So next time around, it'll probably be a few more years before you see it again. So let me just pop it down and we'll have a close look inside. All right, let's just crack this open. Pop this over here so you can still see the really nice box. All right, so box full of bits. Let's look at the more obvious parts first, I think. Let's go for the bodywork. So bodywork is kept in this little cardboard housing here for protection. And you get an idea at how big this is going to be. So these are your main bodywork, and then you got your front bonnet, and that's going to sit in like that. Okay, so you've got these parts separate because it's going to have opening doors, opening engine compartment, and then also the opening, I guess you call it the boot, which is on the front end of these particular cars. Classic shape overall. It's got the big flares, okay, so extended fenders. And then, actually, since we've got that there, let's have a close look at this one. So here, you'll see the bonnet section. And you got your door panels. And then across here, there's the hinges. And I think they're the hinge fixing plates. Really beautiful. So basically, you'll spend a lot of time putting a lot of detail into the car, and you'll be able to see it all at the end of it as well, just by opening it all up. Now, I can't really show you much in here because it's really pretty well sealed. There's multiple sprues in this particular part. Over here, you can just see the backs of the wheels. So they've already been chromed. Very smooth chrome. So modern chrome is a lot finer than it was when it was first released. Early chrome was just atrocious. So thick, used to hang on the sprues. But yeah, really nice gloss on them too. And then underneath, there's some softer vinyl. You might be able to see that, it's black. And there for all the spark plug leads and such. For sure, I'm not going to open that up because it's such a collectible kit. So you got multiple bits in there. Let me see if I can see. Okay, so the inside, I guess you call it the lining for the doors is also there. They're in black. Can't really make out much more, but we'll find all that in the manual as I go through it a bit later. Might be able to see here the headlight reflectors as well. Okay, let's put this down over here. Shift this across. So as you can see, it's a pretty nice size of model. All right, since we've done that, okay, let's look over here. We've got some darker parts which might be able to, a bit harder to see. So we've got our wheels. Oh, sorry, the tires. So they're slicks. So we've got narrow ones for the front, really fat and wide ones for the rear. And then there's also this really nice ducting. So these would be ducts to go to the disc brakes. So you see how they've got the ribbing there, and they're flexible. It's a rubber. Look very realistic. Then here, this appears to be the rubber boots that go onto the drive shaft. Okay, so they're the rears. But then on the fronts, you see that when I spin it around, you've got the classical Tamiya screwdriver for all the tiny screws. And then there's also a section of, I think that was copper. It's copper wire and some vinyl tubing there for more hydraulics and line work inside the car and the engine. You got nuts, various length screws. These are all to aid in the construction, and also add strength to the finished model. You can see the nice smooth slicks. Okay. All right, so that's all the stuff out of that box. Let's move on to some of this stuff. All right, let's go here. So this is the engine cover. So basically you got the engine cover. This will be the ducktail wing that'll be connecting here. These sections I don't recognize. There'll be some sort of ducts. We'll find out in the manual. But as you can see, this will sit like this, just there. Classic. All right, and then got this massive floor pan. That's really nice that it's all molded in one piece. So we've got, it's interesting, it's got this square that's been cut out. This must be a molding point, and I think that'll be the square that fits in there to cover that up. Okay, I'll spin this around. You've got the wheel arch type, I guess parts of the chassis are already there. And then you can see straight into the bare floor pan. So you've got these reinforcing pressings. Then engine's going to sit. Engine is going to sit here. And then probably a spare tyre, maybe, on the front. But there's no spare tyres, so it must be something else. Oh, but that's huge. That's good. So let's do that. So that's in that order there. Okay, over here we've got this big racing seat. So you can see how it's a full wraparound and really snug. It's quite thin, and then you've got the spaces here for the racing harnesses. This is the base or the main cushion of the seat, which will just fit inside as well. Okay, pop it there. All right, on this section we've got some more chrome parts. So you've got some radiators, you've got the disc brakes, and what you're going to find is the photo etch, when we get to it, is going to have some finer detail, which is going to go over these disc brakes as well. You've got parts of you got the gear shift here. Looks like quite a lot of parts for the engine. You've got a cross brace across the engine bay. And then oil, I think that's an oil tank. Then over this side, this has got the interesting fiberglass parts. And they're doing the fiberglass look with the semi-transparent molding. It has a really convincing look because as you look through it, it's got that semi-transparent, and the way that it changes its tone gives the impression of matted fiberglass. So you got your radiator fans there as well, but there's the main tank that you see. So you don't need the paint there; you just put it in straight in. Maybe just a little bit of a wash. Over here you can see the radiator housing with the fan cover there. Not sure if you can see all that. There might be a bit of reflection. Now, apart from that, there are other sprues in there too. So there's another black sprue in there which looks like the roll bar. It's a roll cage for the inside. And then you may just be able to see the coloured sections here. So you've got red and orange there. So these would be for the indicators for the orange, and then red would be for the brake lights. So again, that's a really nice touch because you don't have to paint those, because painting transparent parts can be a bit of a pain sometimes. All right, so that's one bit there. Okay, here we've got a whole bunch of, might be a bit hard to see. How about we do this? We've got our big dashboard panel here. You see that that's a turbo right there. You got the brake calipers. What's we got here? It looks like maybe they're hubs. You can see the steering wheel just at the back there. Nice big steering wheel. This is the back of most stuff, so I can't really see what I'm looking at here, but there's an anti-roll bar right there. You got parts of the suspension. Other parts I don't really recognise. There's probably shocks. You got your windshield wipers are in a couple of parts. Actually, they look really nice. They're quite fine. And this looks like universal drive shafts. Alright, so there are 2 sprues there. Okay, let's move on to this one. Okay, so that's more framework for the inside of the car. So that'll probably be perhaps near the rear end. You got a parcel shelf, transmission tunnel. These other parts, not too sure, but very nice, big chunky bits. And now with the silver, we've got the the engine and transmission components. So you can see the nice boxer engine here. So you've got 2 halves. The transmission here with the differential. Let's probably give you a good idea of the boxer engine as well, because it's going to go on the end. Okay, so you got various. You got alternator. You got the belts, pulleys, exhausts. See a bit of a clutch here. So it's very traditional that Tamiya mould these particular components in a silver. So this is the other side. Can't really see much because they have all the backside on here. So that's all the detail. Particularly like how crisp these areas here for the castings and all the fins here. I mean, for an old casting, you can see how they were at the top of their game. I mean, they're so good that even now, I mean, they're very impressive. There's no flash. There's only the very slightest amount of flash along here, but I mean, that's probably more to do with the age of the tooling, because it's been used so much, than anything else. Everything else looks very clean. It's real well done. Okay, so that's all the plastic parts. Now we get to all the documentation. So what we've got here, so we've got a parts list. Actually, that's the second side. So here you can just, with the simple line drawings, check all the parts. They're all numbered, so you know exactly where to find them. A bit like the legend on a map. So all these bits here. Okay. Something new in later kits would be this tip sheet. So we've seen this in a few different kits, even smaller kits. It's handy, so you know how to make holes and how to do basic gluing or fine parts, and then also painting and how to spray. Alright, so we've got those. We've got the manual here, so let's just pop this side there. Well, what we want to see is, look at the size of this photo-etched sheet. That's pretty impressive. Okay, so you can see here all the discs. So these are the ventilated discs. You just glue this over the existing ones, so you've got the finer detail. You've got all these radiator grille covers. These here would probably be the backs of instrument panel. And then you've got the harnesses here for the seat belts. So you can see here, it'll be a multi-piece to get the thickness. I'm not too sure about that. That looks like they could be pedals. But that is quite impressive. And it's a very thick sheet too. So this will be all stainless steel, so very tough. Okay, so that's one of the additions. And then the other addition is this decal sheet here, printed by Cartograf. Now, Cartograf are renowned to be the best screen printers of decals in the world. So it's really nice to see. And if I just hold it at an angle, you probably won't be able to see it, but usually with Tamiya decals, you'll see a noticeable rising where they've cleared over them. and you can actually feel it too, that they're very, very smooth. Because one of the biggest problems with thick decals is when you put them on, even if you put on really thick clear, you won't be able to remove the effect of the ugly sort of thickness of them, the height. So here you've got some of the, what am I looking for? The dials, that's right, for the instrument panel. So you've got your full Jagermeisters there, they're all in white, so predominantly going to be an orange car. You got your choices here for the head, the windshield top section, depending on which driver. And you got your turbo RSR written there, and then a few of the other sponsors, and then there's a few warning tags here too that'll go on the engine bay. Over here you see this really nicely printed fabric sticker. So the fabric itself gives you that texture of the seat belts. So you just need some really sharp scissors just to cut along them. They'll stick to themselves, but it's probably handy that once you want to fix it in place, you just add a little bit, like a touch of super glue, just to make sure it's permanent. Very nice. Okay, so there are all the special components. So let's go through the manual. So there's a manual. It's reasonably thick. It's quite large. Easy to follow. Okay, so it'll give you a bit of the history here. So talks about the Group 4 class. So Group 4 GT class in 1976. So at the Nürburgring, it took 3rd place in its class, and number 25 won the class and 3rd overall in the championship. So it did very well. So let's have a look inside. All right, so the instructions are always in multiple languages. So you always get Japanese, and then it's usually in English, German, and French. So here we've got a basic guide of what tools to use to help. Here's a color chart here with the Tamiya codes on it, and it's been updated with LP numbers now, because LP is the new Tamiya lacquer paint colors. Lacquer paint colors are very good to use on a car simply because they're very hardy. Particularly this is going to have opening panels and such. Then also if you want the mirror finish, you can polish those quite easily. Over here gives you some tips on how to do photo etching. So photo etch scissors, and then a file to clean up, and then tweezers for bending and for holding. All right, so we start getting into construction. So you've got the big floor pan that we had earlier. So there's that the square section that'll seal this. Okay, so start building up the internal chassis structure. Over here you've got the transmission tunnel, and you've got the handbrake and the gear shift going in. All the pedals are going in here. Oh, so there's the photo etch bits there, which I thought were parts of the pedals. So yeah, they're going on. I'm not too sure what that is. That could be brake cylinders. I'm not too sure. Yeah, it could be. That's part of the that's part of the hydraulics for the foot controls. So you got your rear. Oh, hang on. The rear partial shelf is not there yet. That's for the front end. So you can see the pedals going in, transmission tunnel, the seat rail. There's a few details going in here for the rear end. Over here it's the steering mechanism, is it? It is. So it's got a working steering. So you can see the rack and pinion system there. That's going to be the joiner for the steering column. So you see how you get your steering push rods. They'll just connect onto the rack there. So once that is all together, you see the rubber sections here which are cut to do the rubber boots. Then that's dropped in, and then you've got this. What is that part? It's a strut for the steering. Okay, you got the arms getting built now. The disc brakes, and then you can see the photo etch layer going on there as well. All the calipers going on, and the steering hub. So you see those going in as a full sub-assembly. There's a shock getting built. And you can see here it's showing the shocks are actually working. So it'll have some working suspension once it's completed. You see the arms going on. See how they've got rounded ends, so they can actually rotate. And then over here, this looks like the rear semi-trailing arm that's going in the back. Again, you've got the construction of the disc brakes. Let's move on here. All right, and the rear end's going in. So you see the trailing arms are getting mounted onto the floor pan. You've got the shocks assembled similar to the front, sway bar there. And then that's all mounted in, and then you start on the engine. So boxer engine, and see how that's quite a simple assembly. And those are the parts that we had a close look at before with a really nice casting detail. So you got your sub-assembly here, and then the transmission is getting built and popped on the back. Here is where you use all the vinyl tubing. So this is going into the distributor cap, and here's showing exactly the lengths that you need for each length. And there's the cap going on the distributor, glued into place. You've got engine mount here, and then here you've got the cooling system. So you got the intake. Actually, that's an intake system, fan forced. And then over here you've got all the belts and the pulleys. Got the alternator there. Alternator, starter motor, one of those, probably starter motor. Okay, so what have we got here? Actually, these are the intakes here, aren't they? They look like the that looks like the induction. You got your turbo getting put together here. And then it's all connected. There's a turbo going onto the exhaust port. Got the rest of the details going in. So you got the exhaust getting mounted onto the base of the engine. You can just see the turbo just hanging there. That's a massive turbo. And then it looks like the drive shafts are getting fitted in, and then you're popping the transmission into the floor pan, and then flicking in, and then it's all screwed into place. Okay, so it'll be very, very secure. All right, so now we've got various components of the engine. I can't quite pick what they are, but they're getting mounted on the side of the engine bay. Got some more hosing going on, and then you start working on the instrument panel. So you see the drive shaft here with the steering column. The steering column has a variety of universal shafts to make it work. And you see the decals going on onto the instrument panel. Over here, I think that's the oil tank. You got the battery, the washer tank, and they're all getting mounted in the front end. Then over here, you've got some radiators getting put together, and the fire extinguisher. Got the air ducts here. Oh, that's for the heater. Oh, I guess if you're driving somewhere really cold, you need to be heated up a bit. Let's just move on to the next page. Okay, so you got the radiators going in. So multiple radiators at the front end. You got the heater section there with the ducts, fire extinguishers, and then this is the construction for the seat belt and the racing harness. So you can see all the multiple levels of photo etch that are being put together to get the thickness and also the detail of the clasp. And then here you have the adjustments and the locking points, the anchor points. The seat going in, so there's the main cushion, glues in, and then all your pre-made seat belts are getting mounted in. So you get your lower anchors, and then you have your top shoulder. Over here you've got the fuel tank. So that's the fuel tank sections which I showed you, which was that transparent buff color, which is the fiberglass look. So you've got all the pumps and such going on. There's the brace that locks over the top. You've got some plumbing that goes all the way to the back to the engine bay. Here we have the roll cage being assembled. It's quite simple, really. Not many components there. And this just shows you where the seat belts are anchored onto the back of the roll cage. All right, so we're getting into more bodywork now. So you've got the main bodywork here. It's got all the light sections going in with the bumpers. Here it's the various colored lenses. They're going in. This is the rear engine cover with the hinges, which we had a look at earlier, and then all the grills. Inside here we're doing the glazing, so you've got all the glass. You can see the hinges just there for the engine deck. And then you've got your sun visors, the hinge section for the front boot door, and then the front front end where you got the bumper, you got the rubber parts for the bumper as well, and then headlights going in, and then the front air dam. We're getting close to the end here. So I've got the doors. The doors are multi-piece and quite secure. They're all screwed together. You've got the glass section there, which is sandwiched between the main door skin and the inner. You got the what do you call that part? So you got the handle there with the luggage compartment where you put your old school map book. There's a hinge section there, and then that all goes together. It's all pressed together so it can all come apart easily. Over here you got some brake ducting out of that corrugated tubing. It's locked into place, and then just putting together the wheels and the tires. They're screwed in, and then finer details like rear vision mirrors, and then your windshield wipers, and that's it. And then you start doing all your decals. So you got a top view, and then you've got your side views and your front and back view. All in all, a very beautiful looking car, very classical shape. So that's the end of it. So that's the my open box review of the reissue of the Tamiya 112 scale Porsche 934 in Jagermeister markings. So that comes with the extra photo etch and also the Cartograf printed decals.